That might help.
Okay, so today is Google Classroom for the primary teachers. The agenda is located on the websites, but I'm going to put it in the chat right now. So if you need a copy of the agenda, you can just go ahead and click over there in the chat box. When we're done, we have the survey at the top of the agenda, and you'll also find it at the bottom of the agenda. I also put in here a link over the welcome, which is to Amazon. If anybody's interested, there is a book out there called Google App for Littles. It's fantastic. It's $2.99 right now if you have the Kindle app. So if you want to do any on your own, I did put that link in there, and the book is fantastic. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is make sure that your iPads in your classroom have Google Classroom on them. You can add the app through self-service. If you don't have self-service on your iPads, then we can ask for it to be pushed out to those iPads. The first time you're gonna have to help the students log in, because they're gonna have to log in with their email and password. This will hold their email and password inside the app. You won't have to keep putting it in. That's why you have one iPad for every kid, and nobody else should be using that iPad, because that will be held inside their iPad that they will use. If you're using any of the other Google apps, like Docs, Slides, Sheets, Forms, Meet, whatever you want to use, you'd have to download those onto your iPad also. So any app that you want to use with Google Classroom has to be installed on the iPad. And each one of those is a separate app. So Google Docs is its own app. Google Slides is its own app. The other thing you may want to do is invite parents. So I'm going to go ahead and go in to close this. My classroom, and of course I'm going to go up here to the apps, and I'm going to scroll down to classroom. And I'm going to go ahead and go into Google certification. It's just going to be the one I'm going to use right now. You can make sure that you have added all the people under the people tab. So you can go in and see that all your students have been added. You also have a choice to add parents. So if you want to set that up, you can go ahead and you can invite them into your classroom. See where it says invite guardians? You would put their email in and it would send them an invitation. So then you could give directions for the parents also to put information into Google Classroom that you could collect. Did your student read X amount last night? Did they read a book? Did they read for 10 minutes? And they could virtually send you the information that their student did read a book. So you might want to invite your parents through here, and that would be a good way to communicate and let them know what's happening with classwork in your room. The other thing you're going to want to do is you're going to have to want to talk to these primary students about digital citizenship. Before you even use the iPads and Google Classroom, you want to make sure they understand how to use the iPad in school, what it's for. We already have those videos set up. So if you go in to Illuminate, we have the codes there. The kids will go through, they'll walk through. It talks about how to behave on the iPad, what the expectations are, not to share too much information, how to be private. A lot of these tools that students need to have for digital learning. So they're already out there, but you are going to have to revisit this throughout the year. So they know that whatever they're posting is appropriate, how you talk to people, and they can understand. Does anybody have any questions on digital citizenship? It's just like reinforcing behavior in the classroom. It's just another place where it needs to be done. So we're going to start in your classroom. You have this nice little cogwheel over here that you want to make sure that this is set up. You can see that you have this guardian summaries that you can send to your parents once a week. You can turn this on. So, and they also give you an example of what it looks like. It'll tell you the work that was missing. It will tell you what's due the following week, and they can see what you've accomplished throughout the week. They're really kind of nice. And you turn that on and they automatically send if a guardian signs up. The reason why you would want to use Google Classroom in your class is so you can keep track, parents can keep track, and you can all have your work in one place. It's an organization tool. So this is like a student's desk. This is where they would go to find their work. And if you train your students to go to the same place every day, this is where they're going to go to find out what they need to do. It may be a little bit more work up front, but in the end, it's probably going to save you time over the year coming. This stream area is where you're going to put your announcements. So anything you want to share with your students, this is where you're going to want to put it. And if you look at the agenda, it tells you that in the stream, this is where you want to put announcements, frequently used resources. That's where you want to keep all that in the stream. One thing that happens when you set up your Google Classroom is that anybody can post. So you can see down here, I have people that posted. Sometimes students think of this as Facebook and they want to communicate with everybody on here like it's Facebook. So you may want to set up in the beginning, before the students even get on, in your little settings icon. If I can get my computer to work, there it goes. I'm having a little bit of a delay. See in the stream right here, it says students can post and comment. You may not want that. You want to maybe only the teacher can post and comment. You want to make sure you change this to what you want it to be so you have the result that you want. And I know probably in kindergarten, first or second grade, they may not be writing sentences to each other, but sometimes they learn how to spell bad words and may put those in there. So you might want to stop them from communicating in the stream. If your students are already signed up and you did not turn that off, if you check the box here, one of your actions is to mute everybody. That way they can only ask the teacher questions. So you can take that off later. You don't have to do it in the very beginning. So that again is where classwork in the stream, you want to make sure that you do that. Now, if you delete items in your stream, you can actually view those later. I never need to see them if I delete them, so that's a preference. The other thing that you have down here is the Google Meet. Mine is turned on. I'm going to pick a class where it's not turned on. So I'm just going to go to webinars. And in your settings, you need to activate this if you want to use it. So see where it says generate meet link? You would click on that. And just so you know, it shows up under classwork right here. See how I have no icon right now that looks like a video? But if I go back into my settings and I go down to generate my link and I save it, it now shows up at the top. So if you wanted to have a virtual meeting with somebody, say one of your students isn't coming to school or can't come to school, or they're sick or they're in the hospital for an extended amount of time, you could do a Google Meet with your student through your Google Classroom. So you would just click on it. You would send that information to the student I don't know why it's taking me over there and why it kicked me out. Let's try this again. And then you can invite the person in your meet. So when I hit join now, there's an option to add people, send them an invite, call them. They don't have to have a video. That would all happen once you set up the time with the parent or that particular student. And can second graders do this? Yeah, they know how to use a video camera on a device probably better than most of us do. So I don't think that would be an issue. Any questions about sending guardians information or generating a meet link or anything else? Is there a question?
I don't think so. Could you show in the cogwheel how to hide the notifications for the assignments?
It's not over there. If you want to hide notifications for that, you have to go to the cogwheel at the bottom here under settings. And this is where you get your email notifications, and you can decide what you want to get notifications about.
No, I meant the other one in the cogwheel in the classroom.
Let me see, go back. Hang on one second.
No worries.
My computer's having a big delay right now for some reason.
Sorry.
No. Let's try this again.
You see how it says
classwork in the stream?
Classwork in the stream. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, so you can hide them right here, or you can show what you're going to get, or you can hide them in the stream. So you don't necessarily have to see that close work in the stream. You can hide that. So the classwork only shows up under classwork. Is there anything else you want to add to that, Rachel?
Nope.
Okay. Okay, so the purpose of the classwork is to help you stay organized and keep you and your students aware of what's happening all the time, and they can be very creative in here. The one thing that's nice about primary teachers is that you don't want to stop them from using manipulatives and all the hands-on things in the classroom. This is just an extra piece that they can have to make sure that you collect everything and keep it in one place. And your students are very creative. They haven't really been hindered yet. They will share whatever you want them to share. They'll do videos for you. They'll draw pictures. They're usually pretty creative. This can be a place where you have that creativity and you keep it throughout the year. Progress book only keeps grades. This is where you can keep the work and keep like a portfolio for your students and make sure everybody knows what's happening. So even if it's not necessarily a piece of work that you're going to have them turn in digitally, you may want them to go here and see what they can do, what they have to do for the parents every week. So when it sends the guardians the notification at the end of the week of what was due and what's missing, it's going to show up in here, and they can understand what the directions that you have in there, what that the student needs to do. So this doesn't necessarily have to be set up for the student. It can be set up for the parent also. This is also an area where if you're doing something in particular and you have an absent student, if you create video directions, they can get on here and listen to you tell them what to do. So you don't have to pull students aside individually to teach them about a certain assignment that you have in there. So this will be your organization. Now you can see at the top, I have the word today. Today is the topic that I added, so students know that that's what's due today. Once they're done, so if we're done with this, I can go back and edit it and put this under, where's my topics? My topic, and this might be just classroom. So now it's not due today anymore. So when a student gets on here, the only thing that they're gonna see is due is this classroom. So that you can train your kids that every day they get on, this is where they need to go to do certain work. It's also gonna help if you're trying to do centers or groups, that you can put directions in here for one group. So then they can go on here and listen to you give directions while you're actually sitting in a table working with another group of students. But this would be something you would need to train them to do. And once they're in a rhythm and they know to Google Classroom, they know to click on today, they need to go in their group, they need to listen to the directions, then they can go and finish the assignment that you want them to do. It's kind of trying to make your life easier. So in our creation, you can see you can have them, you can have all assignments for students. You can make a copy for your students, which is really nice. So when you go in here and you want to create an assignment, you're going to give it a title. And then you can put the directions here. If you make video directions, you can just add those with a link or with a YouTube, depending on how you decide that you want to create them. And then the student would just watch the video and listen to you to finish the work, whether it's a piece of paper on their desk or whether it's something on the computer that you want them to do. So if I add something from Google Drive that I want them to have, let me see if I have. And I'm going to add this one. These are manipulatives. And let's say I want every student to have a copy. Oh, that's because I didn't make a copy of this. I'm stealing it from somewhere else right now. Let's see if I can do it. And maybe I don't want all my students to have it. Maybe I just want Barb to have it and Andrea. Okay, so those two students are going to have this assignment. I always give a due date. I make it longer than I usually want them to be, but this is what I want them, oh, sorry. This is what I want them to do today. So when I assign, and I have to apologize, my computer is running very slow today and I'm not sure why. Let's try this again. I'm going to take this one off. I'm just going to put the agenda. I'm going to make a copy for every student, and I'm going to assign. One of the things that's really nice that I like about this is even if they're kindergarten, first grade, second grader, is when I go in as a teacher and I want to see my two students and what they're working on, if I go into view assignment, it will show me in live time what they are working on. So a little paper will pop up here. So I know that they haven't opened this because there's nothing here right now. If they open this assignment, you're going to see a little square with an example of the agenda. And then I can watch them type in real time. I don't have to be standing over their desk to see what they're doing. So if you have 25 students working on something, drawing a picture, moving some manipulatives in Google Slides, you can watch them do it in here and you'll know what they're working on their iPads. One of my favorite things, it was watching my students do their work as I was sitting at my desk. So I was aware of what they were doing while I might have been doing something with somebody else. So luckily, most of you have your desk, your laptop in your room, and you have your iPad. A lot of you are trying to do dibbles and work with a student. You could have your computer open, your laptop next to you, and see the screen of what the students are doing on their assignments. Is there any questions on that?
I don't see any yet.
Okay, so you want to make sure that you keep yourself organized when you're giving assignments. So one of the suggestions that was given by Alice Keeler, who wrote the book Google for Littles, is that you might want to give them a numbers. So the first day it's 001, then it's 002, 003. So that way, if you tell your students you're going to work on assignment 1 they can go down and look for the number 1. They might be able to find a number before they can read the title of an assignment. So if you name the next assignment, 001, and then say phonics, and give it a title, your students can find this by number. So not everybody can even read numbers when they came in, but numbers usually are easier for those littles to learn than words. So you might want to start organizing by giving them numbers, and as you get through the year, you can have them start looking for words instead of numbers. We talked about today's topic. Again, directions you can give to parents, so that way you can actually give the parents work. They can know what's happening, and they can fill out information for you digitally and send it back to you. You can also add audio notes. Rachel, I don't know if you want to talk about this a little bit.
Sure, because I know an issue with non-readers is if you type directions, unless someone is there to read it to them, they might not know what's going on. So I have a couple options. The Simple Audio Recorder Chrome extension will only work on a teacher laptop, but then you're able to, once you install it, it'll pop up on your bar. So once, if you turn it on, then once you click on that little extension right next to your picture, it will automatically start recording you. So it will record your voice. You see how it's already counting down. And then once you click it again, it will stop recording. And then you can find your recording, and then you do have to put it in Google Classroom. I'm sorry, I believe you have to put it, you can, if you go into Google Classroom, you can just add it from your downloads. It's when you're in slides that you have to put it in Chrome first.
Okay.
And then the Mote Chrome extension you can use as comments in their work. I know I've talked about that a couple times. The way that it works is that it looks like once you click the little purple thing next to the comment, it'll probably work like in the agenda. It will record your voice, and then when it's done, it will have like a little script of what you wrote also, what you spoke also. So if you add a comment in there, and it hasn't loaded yet, it'll be a little purple thing at the end. You might have to reload your agenda.
Let me refresh it.
Yeah. But this also works in Google Classroom now. They just push that out. So anywhere that you can make a comment, like in the student's work or while you're grading. So you would click that, and you have up to 60 seconds to record. And it'll have a little transcription. And if it's incorrect, you see it's recording right now. Once she clicks done, then it will try to transcribe the recording. And if it's incorrect, so go ahead and click comment. If it's incorrect, you can edit it. See, it's making a transcript. So if she wants to click edit in the bottom right, she can change the transcription. Otherwise, the kids can listen to it. And then in Google Slides, again, you can add audio anywhere. So just some options.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is really nice. If you guys haven't used it, it's really nice because now anything that you have in here, so even if this is a worksheet you want to give to students, you've recorded the directions and they can listen to them. They don't necessarily have to read them, and then they can complete the document that you have right in here for your students. It's very nice.
But just to let you know that the Chrome extensions only work on the teacher laptop. So I'm not sure if there's something in the iPad natively that they could use to do something similar.
They can record, but I don't think it attaches directly to the document like it does with an extension. So I would definitely do it on a laptop before I would do it on an iPad. So is there any questions about adding audio directions? Okay, so again, your Google Classroom is going to be your place where you collect your information. You're giving them the assignments, you're giving them everything they want, and your Google Classroom is how you're going to stay organized. You can give grades in Google Classroom and upload what you want into Progress Book. You're not going to do it from this end. You have to go into your Progress Book to upload them. And I'm going to show you that at the end because I'm going to stop recording because I'm going to actually be in somebody's grade book. But you don't have to input grades twice. I just want you to know that. And you can pick the ones that you have in Google Classroom to upload into Progress Book. You don't have to put every grade that you have in Google Classroom into your Progress Book. It's selective to you. Okay, so I'm going to switch over to my iPad. We're going to hope that this works. Okay, so I'm going to stop. Yay! So can you guys still hear me? Oh, that looks bad.
Yes, we can.
Yes.
I'm going to hope that this changes color. Oh, let me
Right now
stop.
it's purple.
Yeah, it's not showing you what I. Okay, I'm going to stop and we're going to try it one more time. We did this yesterday and we didn't have any problems, so. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to start with Google Classroom on an iPad. And I know some teachers like to use this a lot, so I just want you to be aware of what you have when you open up Google Classroom on an iPad. So I'm going to choose my classroom. And hope it loads. There it goes. So I don't know if you guys can see the bottom of the screen where it says stream, classwork, and people. I don't have a grades tab. So I don't know if you can see that for some reason.
Yeah, it's down at the bottom.
Okay, you can see that. All right. So you can do just about everything on your iPad that you can do on the computer. But you can't add those extensions and do all that part. So if I was a teacher and I wanted to go in here, sorry, I would just go to my classwork. And it's loading. And you can see at the top, there is a little Google Meet icon. So you have that today. If I want to add a assignment or something, I'm going to the bottom right where the plus is. I will click the plus, and this is where I'm going to add my assignment. So I would give this a name, points, instructions would be in here. I'm just going to type some letters. Now, what's really nice is you can actually screen record directly from your iPad and add those. So if I click the little paper clip, I can actually use my camera on the fly and add something, or I can pick a photo. So if I go into pick a photo, and this is a book I was reading, and I wanted to add that picture, I've now added that picture through my camera roll. And sometimes for teachers, making videos on the iPad is easier than making a video on their laptop. So I'm going to add the picture. And then I'm also going to add a Google Doc, because you can add multiple things into your assignment. Just be aware that it gives you all your folders first. It doesn't organize like it does on your computer. So, and you can see the little eyeball over there where it says view. If I click on the eyeball, here's where I can make a copy for each student. In the picture, I may just want them to view that. They don't need a copy of it. And then I'm just going to give it a date. Give it a topic, of course. I'm going to pick today because this is what I want you to do today. And I'm going to schedule that. Oops, sorry. I don't want to schedule it. I want to send it. With the little paper plain looking arrow. So there it is at the top. You can see that. So one of the easiest things that for a student to do is that if you give an assignment, they can add a picture on the fly. So I'm a member of a class. This is what it would look like for a student. So if this is an assignment that's been given to me for my teacher and they say, I want you to take a picture of your work. If they go to open, come on, your work at the bottom, see at the bottom it says your work and the little arrow. You're gonna add an attachment. One of my options is use the camera. This is really nice. I'm going to use my camera. It will open up. This is my magazine I have right here today. I'm gonna take a picture of it. And you can see it says use photo at the bottom. I'm going to use that photo. And that's what I'm going to send to my teacher. So if they had something that you want them to attach, that's how they would attach a picture. Now, what's really nice is they have a word collage that you might want to do for your students. So say it's the first day of school and you want them to take a pictures of themselves and try to add words from their spelling that you have posted on the wall, or you want them to add letters or just write their name. So I'm going to turn this assignment in. If I go back into my photos as a student, and I'm going to go into my camera roll. And I'm going to see where my photos should be saved in here somewhere. So I'm just going to choose this photo for right now. One of the options you have on an iPad is to edit on the top right. You see that edit button right there? If I choose that, at the bottom you have some photo editing, but then you have the 3 dots. If you click the 3 dots, you have a markup tool. This is where you could have the students use photos to write their name. They could just do letters, circle the letters T, circle the letters that are in your name that you see here, whatever you wanted them to do. Once they're done, they can upload that to you with a photo. So a student taking a picture of something and then writing on it is very easy through an iPad. This is something that you can have them, an assignment they can do that right from the beginning, you're already teaching them technology skills. You're going to teach them how to take a photo on the iPad. You're going to teach them how to mark up on it, how to write on a photo. And then you can teach them how to go into the classroom. And again, the first couple times, this might be something that you do with them together, and you show them how to upload a picture to get them used to it. Once you teach them how to upload a picture, upload anything they have on the iPad, you will never have to tell them again the rest of the year. Okay? Google Docs. So if I have something on here, if I go into Google, they can actually voice type. Sorry. They don't need to know how to spell. So if you wanted them to start to learn words and what they look like, and I'm just going to create a document. It says, I'm just going to say today. And again, you would go in, you would teach a student how to make a document, start it. When I go in as a first grader or kindergartner, when my keyboard pops up, you see the mic on the bottom left-hand corner. If I click on that, again, this is kind of like autocorrect. It's going to try to type what I'm saying. So if I say, good morning, today is April 21st. When I click that keyboard, it will turn off the audio. But again, it's trying to type, and it will show you what the student can see what it looks like. So if you want them to say their name, that's probably not a good idea because a lot of them aren't spelled correctly. But if you wanted to say words like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and the, okay, all of that is in here. When they tell you something, so if you wanted them to give you feedback, they could do this. They could save it. They could go back into Google Classroom, and you would say, hey, I want you to turn in the paper that says today. Uh-oh, did we lose my screen recording?
Yes.
Okay, hang on. Okay, so I'm going to go back into my classroom. I'm going to, at the bottom, add my work, add an attachment. It's in Google Drive. They won't have any folders, so they won't have to see this. For them, it's probably going to be the first thing that pops up. So, or I'm just going to search for it because I have a lot of stuff, sorry. The other thing that I like when you assign an assignment to a student is it automatically puts their name on the assignment. So they're going to see their name every time if you make a copy for the student and they click on it.
So they could even assign an assignment that has a blank document, and each student would create their own, correct?
Yes. Yeah, so you can assign a blank document instead of having to teach them how to attach. Okay, are there any questions?
I don't see anything.
Okay, all right, so another thing you can have them do is that if you made a Google Doc for each of their students with their names on it, you could actually have them take a picture of that and then mark it up in picture and write their name with the markup tool. So that's another option that you have. You also have notes that comes on the iPad. These are really nice because the students can go in here and they can actually draw a picture or write, and they can share it and drop it into something else. So you can see that over here I was working on some notes. Time with this one. If I hit the little right icon at the top, it gives me a clean page. At the bottom, at the top, you see a check mark, a plus, and a little pencil. That pencil will allow them to draw. And I have all kinds of colors at the bottom, so they could draw a picture of their family. They could draw a picture of themselves, a sunny day. all kinds of, put the grass, a house. And then they could add this to a document or something else. So these are in notes where, again, you can have them write their name, you can have them draw. It's just another app that's really nice, that where you can have the students learn to write. Another thing I have on the agenda is a shapes scavenger hunt. When you click on the link in the agenda, I actually gave you a copy of the hunt. So what students would do, and I'm going to share this on my computer, so hang on. You can see, I think, am I signed out?
No, I can see it.
Okay, because I lost my, okay. So this is a template that I shared with you guys. My computer's going crazy. I'm sorry, I had all kinds of stuff just pop up. So you can give this to your students, and the students would write the word in here. They would take a picture. So this is where you would have them take a picture, and then you could have them explain it if they want with that, with the moat. So they could use words if you wanted them to, and you could hear their explanation of what their picture is and using the vocabulary word in a sentence if they can't type it. So that's right there in the document that I shared with you. That's easy peasy template that you can go ahead and use. You also have Google Slides, and I don't know if Rachel, you want to talk about this a little bit more than me, because she's our expert. I put a link on here to these manipulatives that I shared with you for primary teachers. It's really kind of cool. You can take one of these and share it with your students, and then they can put tally marks in here. They can type numbers in here. They can add to each one. If you only want to give them, you know, how many bears in the jar, you can add that. You can have them find shapes in the room, pictures of these shapes. This is a template that I shared with you, so you'd have to make sure that you go to File and Make Copy. You can just select a slide if you want, and that way the students only get the one slide instead of all of the slides in there. Okay, Rachel. Do you want to share your screen, or?
That's fine.
Okay.
I was going to use your same example.
Okay.
But, hang on one second. Let me find it.
Because I didn't talk about Pear Deck at all or anything like that.
Okay.
So I'm going to stop sharing so you can share.
Okay. 1 second. Okay. So this is the example that she was just showing you. So you can see that here, this would be something that would be, I would assume, oh, because it's view only, I have to make myself a copy. Hello. Sorry about that. So again, just a reminder, if you're trying to manipulate something and it doesn't work, if it says view only, it's not going to let you do that. And of course, it's going to take me an eternity to do that. Oh, okay. This is fun. All right. So this is something that I was working on for Thursday. I'll talk about Pear Deck instead. Basically, if I go back to the agenda here, interactive text boxes is where you have basically a worksheet or an activity in the background that the kids can't move. And then wherever you want them to answer, you put a little text box that they can type in. Drag and drop activities would be like maybe the bear manipulatives, if you want them to count, money, things like that, or like that map where you would move the names and put it in the right place. Pear Deck, I'm just going to go ahead and show you. So that's an add-on that you add right here where it says get add-ons if you don't already have it. Once it's here, it'll be right here. If you click on it, it will pop up over to the right-hand side. And then you can add using the template library, or down here, you can add something that you want them to respond in text, or go to a website, do an activity like add a YouTube video, Edpuzzle, so many different things. So say I wanted to add this slide. See how it's adding it right here? So then I can go ahead and start the lesson, which means I'm presenting it with Pear Deck. So two options. If you're doing it live, in person or on a Zoom, you can do instructor paced activity. Especially right now for remote learning, I would probably pick student paced activity. And then you have to confirm that you're allowing them to do this. Whoa. Sorry about that echo. I don't know what happened. And also, sorry, this is taking a moment. The student-paced activities allows the student to go at their own pace, obviously. In Pear Deck, you'll open a teacher dashboard, and then you'll be able to see, basically, just like in Google Classroom, you'll be able to see them as they're working, what they're doing. Or you can also share the link. Like if you want them to do this on their own, you can share it to Classroom, which is always nice. So if there were students that joined, they would have gone to joinpd.com and then entered this code, or they could go through Google Classroom to get here. And then I can watch them as they complete their activities. If it was a live session, when I'm done, I would click end. If it's student paced, I'm going to click the three dots and then click leave session. That will leave the session open so students can complete it on their own. Say you teach something in a Zoom and then you want them to work on it, and then you can look at their answers and go ahead and discuss how people did the next time. Okay, going back to the agenda real quick. Collaborative slide decks. Oh, I'm going to add a link to that, just examples for some of that. That would be like, say for a primary class, that would be like, say you're going to make a class book on shapes. And so each student would have their own slide, and they would add their picture of the shape, or maybe a description of the shape, depending on the level of the kid. And then that whole slide deck together would be like a class book. Or there's different types of activities. So any sort of activity, each student would have their own slide, or if they're older, say second grade, you could have students working in groups to make slide decks, and then student created slides as they get more proficient. They might be like me and slides is their favorite thing, and then they'll be able to create their own, especially if they have like a class choice board or something like that. So are there any questions about any of that? Is anybody out there?
I don't see anything.
Okay. Talk about forms or?
Yeah, I wasn't really going to get into forms because we have a session. I just want them to be aware that you can add a form for the primary kids, and it can be pictures and audio. It does not have to be word questions. So you can have them say, select the letter A, or find the letter A, and they would have to choose that picture, or find the purple circle and they would have to find that. So adding a Google form in your classroom would be a good way to collect that data. When I talked to Rachel earlier this morning, she was telling me about a way that you could ask about the weather every day. And then once you collect enough data on the weather every day, you could show them a graph on how many days of rain or how many days of sunny days, how many snowy days. And that way you would have that data for the whole year, and you could talk about it and they would see what graphs are. Did you want to add anything else to that, Rachel?
I don't think so. I think that that's a great way. I mean, it goes along with the math standards of like asking them a survey and then showing them the data and showing that it has, you know, which one is greater, which one is less, you know, what is equal conceptually. So I think that that's just a great natural way to do that.
Another one that's really great, if you guys haven't tried it yet, is if you wanted to share a document with your primary kids, and there's an example, it gives them links directly to where they want to go. So you would have maybe a template like this, and you would have them, you could have this read to them, and they would go down each one. So that way they wouldn't come to you and say, what do I do next? What am I doing now? I finished my math. Now what do I do? You could actually have them record a Flipgrid and turn it into you. Like, well, what did you think about the math? Like, what's their next step? If they can teach it, then they know it. So if they just finish a worksheet, they may not necessarily know what they're doing. But if you have them go into Flipgrid and record it for you, that would be a whole different ball of wax as far as their knowledge about something. So on here, I have a couple apps, and I'm just gonna go to Clips real quick so I can show. I gotta stop sharing here. Let's start sharing again. On my iPad. One of the best clips they have are apps that you can teach younger kids is Clips. It's extremely easy to use. I've been in many primary classrooms, kindergarten, first, second. The kids, once they learn this, love it. They want to turn in work to you all the time this way. So when I open the Clips app, and if it's not on your device, again, you can go into self-service or ask for it to be pushed out. It automatically opens camera. If you see there at the bottom and it says hold that, it opened up a project I already had open. If I want a new project, I just go up to the top left, and it will pop up a box and say create new. So now I have a blank page. It automatically wants to take your picture. I don't want my picture taken. I may have taken pictures of things already that I want to share. So I can go into my library. Library will pull up the pictures. So if you're reading a book to your students, if I just manipulate this with my fingers, I hold down the red bar, I can record my voice. So I could say, America's White Table. And because I want to do it right now, it's not letting me hold down. So I'm going to go back into this one so you can see it real quick. And you can see at the bottom, it has that. If I hit the play button next to there, America's White Table by Margot Thies Raven and illustrated by Mike Ben. It was just a little white table, but it brought tears of pride to my uncle. So you can see that I can actually have the book and read a book to the students. It's not my face. I don't have to hold it up. Each time I want to add a picture, I'm going to hit done. I just hold down the red bar at the bottom, and it will allow me to record over it. Now, since I already have words recorded at the bottom, this is the editing tool here. If I want to delete it because I didn't like it, I can delete it. If I want to mute the sound, if I want to trim it because I think it's too long, I can do that. So you have editing tools in here. The only piece of advice I would give you is that if you're recording over this, a picture, so I'm going to add another picture. I'm going to go into library. Just find another picture and hold down. You don't want to start talking when you first hold it down. You want to wait a few minutes because it is a delayed record. And when you stop recording, you want to wait to record and until after you stop talking. Okay? So this is really cool. Once they're done, you have this little up arrow at the bottom right-hand corner. And I can just go ahead and I can save it in my photos and it makes a video. So I really like that. That's pretty cool. Clips is a fantastic app. If you haven't used it for little kids, it's great. It works for older kids too. This was one of the projects when they were working on for the guidance counselors. They used Clips with their students because it was so easy to use at any grade level, and there's very little teaching that you need to do with that for the students. Seesaw is also on there. If I hold down on my keyboard, I believe if I go Seesaw, see if I can search for it so that way I don't have to find it. I hope it didn't come off. I might have to add that from my computer right now. I don't know if I have that on here. But any app that you have on here that you want to use, I have Flipgrid on here that we talked about. They have added the educator side to this. Before, when you went to Flipgrid, you could only see the student side. But now, as you see when I come in here, it says educator dashboard. This is new. So if I click on educator dashboard, I can go in and I can see what the students did. You can also go in and add your own videos to one of your sessions in Flipgrid, one of your topics. That's pretty cool too. So if you want to record something, you can use Flipgrid. You can send it to your students and they can send you responses back. Love Flipgrid. If you haven't used it for little kids, for primary, it's a great tool. Every teacher we've had use it has absolutely loved it, and the kids love it because they love being able to video themselves and tell you about their learning, tell you about what they've done. We had a teacher over at Volney who she had the kids make messages for their parents for parent-teacher conferences. You can print out a QR code, the parent scans the QR code, and they can listen up to videos from their students. Very, very cool. And it's just taking a minute to load. Maybe. While this is working, do you want to talk about Edpuzzle at all, Rachel? Or maybe I can pull Seesaw up.
Sure. Edpuzzle, you can take any video, so a video you created of yourself teaching, or any video on YouTube, and then add questions into at certain points. Okay, so I'm going to stop what I'm talking about right now. Melissa said, I wish I had my work iPad at home because it's hard to do clips from your phone. I did like Clips. Anna says, I can't put any apps on my teacher iPad since it's been fixed. Can someone help me with that when we're done? And Barb says, I'm using Flipgrid for my virtual after school lessons. Cool, Barb. Go ahead.
I just wanted to go in. I know we're getting close to the end, and I know that we put a lot on this agenda, but I did want you to know that out here, if you go into Apple Teacher, there's a training that you can do for iPad, and you can earn a badge. It's really cool. It actually walks you through all these different things like iMovie and stuff on the iPad. It's pretty cool. And there's a nice training there. They actually have one out there for Clips. I tried to find the link and it says the link isn't working right now. So I just want to make sure that you guys know that that's out there too. And I will share that as soon as they put it out. What was the other thing I wanted to share? There's one more thing for training. Rachel, is there anything else you want to hit before we go? Because we're getting close to the end here. Oh, can you hear me? I don't know if she can hear me. So she added this pre-made templates for you guys. This is amazing. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. All of these people have created templates in Google that you can use. Alice Keeler, who's like the Google guru, people think that she doesn't sleep. If you go down here, there's actually one for high frequency words. It's a template. The one that I was looking at is the 5 kindergarten templates that she is sharing with you guys that you can use. So see this drag and drop where kids would take these and drag them and drop them. She actually has a link where you can have a copy of that document and you can share it with your students in Google Classroom, and the kids can manipulate whatever you want. So she's added all of these in here. Here's the numbers template that she has. These are numbers, and then you just have the kids insert shapes for that number. And that's an assignment they can turn into you. There's like I said, there's a lot in here. Here's the manipulatives that she has, and it's drag the bears into the circle to make a picture sentence. So really cool. Down here, they add a picture, and then they can say the cat has a mouse for simple vocabulary. They can write a simple sentence for their vocabulary words by finding a picture. And we know that our students love pictures and video. This is a great way to add it and have them, when they say, what can I do now? Now, these are the different things that you can do. She's amazing. Who was the other one that you talked about, Rachel?
Christine Pinto. So the Innovating Play one and the Christine Pinto, she's the other one that helped make the Google Apps for Littles. So she has all these templates that are really cool. And then Innovating Play is she has a new partner that she's writing a second book. And then they have also a bunch of templates. So I guess I also wanted to share something that I saw. One of the activities, like it's especially with remote or distance learning, it's kind of hard with primary kids because a lot of it is them learning to read or them learning to count or things like that. So one of the things that they had was the kids recording themselves doing something. And Tiffany was telling me that there's a way that they can do that. Like even if they had a slideshow open and they were doing it and counting, or say you had the high frequency word list, they could record themselves reading it to you so that you could have, or reading a book or whatever, so that you could be able to see them even though you can't see them.
Yeah, so if they have an iPad at school, and I'm just going to show you iPad because this is what you have at school right now, and I'm going to share my screen real quick. The iPad has made it extremely easy for you. It says I'm sharing my screen. Can you guys see it? Oh, there it is. If you drag down from the top right-hand corner, you see you have this little circle on the very bottom. That is actually recording your iPad. So if you have your kids go in and they have something on here that they want to record, or you want to record a lesson for them.
We just lost your screen.
Ah. Hang on. It's coming back. There it goes. So when you hit that, see my record button is still flashing. Everything that I'm doing is recording right now. So you can actually record lessons from here. You can go in to your Google Doc for your student, explain the directions to your students on something that you have, and you can load that to your classroom, and it records your screen. So you could say to your students, you're going to click on Google Classroom. You're going to click on the assignment. You're going to click on here, and you can give them directions and not have to do it over and over again. So when I pull down from the corner, I would just hit stop recording. Funny, when I hit stop recording, it actually stops sharing my screen too.
Yes.
And it saves it into my videos, and you can upload that right to your classroom. But imagine how much time that would save you on teaching your kids how to use the iPad. If you could just do a screen recording and explain to them what to do. You get a new student in your classroom, you don't have to start explaining to them. You have to click on Clever. You got to click on iStation. You can make a video for them to watch in order to learn how to do it. It amazes me, and I'm going to say this right now, that our kids, my nephew, all he's ever done is watch YouTube videos on how to play with toys. He doesn't even need the toy. It's how to play with a toy. If our kids are going to watch that, I guarantee you they will watch a video of you teaching them how to use their iPad. So you have a lot to give to them. Make it easy. You'll save so much time for the rest of the year for all those new students that come into your room that learn procedures. Do we have any other questions?
No, I don't see anything. Cheryl said thank you.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing and thank you guys for coming.
Thanks, Tiffany.
You're welcome.
I just put the survey link in the chat. It's also at the top and bottom of that agenda.